Good morning, this is the morning from the New York Times for August 9, 2026. I'm your host, and we'll start with a quick note on Capitol Hill. The Senate has adjourned for its summer recess without passing President Trump's voting bill, so that piece of legislation will have to wait until lawmakers return. Now, let's turn to a story that feels part miracle, part baseball lore, and all heart. In Chicago, the White Sox have experienced a remarkable turnaround after years of struggle. Back in 2024, the Sox set a record for the most losses in modern Major League Baseball history, finishing with 121 defeats. More than a month into the 2025 season, things still looked bleak. They were firmly entrenched in last place in the AL Central, and their average home attendance ranked as the fourth worst in the league. Then came a development that few could have predicted. The papal conclave at the Vatican selected Robert Prevost to be the new pope. He is an American, the first ever from the United States to lead the Roman Catholic Church, and he took the name Pope Leo XIV. Importantly for Sox fans, Pope Leo XIV is a lifelong supporter of the team. Since his election, the White Sox have climbed to first place in their division. Of course, there are tangible baseball reasons for the improvement: smart player acquisitions during their down years and better management, but the narrative has taken on a playful, almost devotional twist. Fans and players alike have begun to wonder whether the Holy Father's presence is somehow influencing outcomes on the field. There have been a few moments that feel especially pointed. During a June 26 game against the Kansas City Royals, pitcher Mike Vasil was wearing a microphone for the television broadcast. Catcher Drew Romo, who is Catholic, approached him in the dugout and said, into the mic, "Pope Leo, if you're watching this game right now, say a quick prayer for a Jacob Gonzalez homer right now." Seconds later, Gonzalez launched his first home run at right field, prompting Vasil to exclaim, "It's working, Leo." I visited Chicago last month to gauge the excitement. I attended the No Frills Mass the team hosts before every Sunday home game, where stadium workers sit alongside players, coaches, and executives at simple gray picnic tables. I also sat in the seat where Pope Leo XIV once sat for Game 1 of the 2005 World Series, a view I described as incredible, especially for a World Series matchup, and said it felt like seeing the world through the Pope's eyes. The organization has leaned into the papal connection with care and creativity. Mike Downey, the senior director of promotions and marketing, told me that when he learned the Pope was a Sox fan, his first thoughts were, "Oh my God, then can we get him to throw out the first pitch one day?" The third idea was a Pope bobblehead, but the church was less enthusiastic about that concept. Downey ultimately opted for a Pope hat promotion. At this Tuesday's game, roughly 40,000 fans will receive White Sox-themed papal mitres as a gift with their tickets. He consulted clergy members to ensure the effort remained respectful, noting a strong Catholic identity that runs through the organization. Brooks Boyer, the team's chief marketing officer and an observant Catholic, captured the sentiment when he said, "We've had sitting mayors of Chicago, we've had governors of Illinois that have been avid White Sox fans, we had a president of the United States in Barack Obama. I didn't expect anything bigger than the mayor when I started this job, but we've kind of climbed the ladder. What's next? I mean, I feel like we're one step away from God." Leaving the ballpark behind, we move to a much tensier geopolitical flashpoint, the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has issued a list of demands that it says the United States must meet before the vital shipping lane can fully reopen. According to Iranian officials, the list includes the withdrawal of U.S. military forces from around Iran and the payment of war reparations. The ongoing conflict has already taken a toll on American arsenals. Senior officials say the war has depleted U.S. weapons stockpiles to troubling levels and has delayed weapons deliveries to European and Asian customers. Staying within the realm of national security and finance, we turn to the Trump family's crypto venture, World Liberty Financial. Reports indicate that the business took $100 million from a businessman who is currently under investigation for money laundering. The details surrounding the source of the funds have raised questions, though the newsletter does not speculate beyond stating the fact of the transaction and the ongoing inquiry. In electoral news from the Pacific, Representative Ed Case, a moderate Democrat from Hawaii, defeated a younger progressive challenger in yesterday's primary, according to the Associated Press. His victory bucks a broader trend this year of left-wing challengers unseating pro-Israel incumbents, and it highlights that a number of older, centrist Democrats are managing to hold onto their seats despite serious primary challenges. Meanwhile, in Ohio, the campaign of Republican Representative Max Miller is unraveling amid allegations that he abused his wife and daughter. As those accusations mount, Democrats see an opening to contest the seat, believing the controversy could weaken Miller's hold on the district. Health news has also surfaced regarding the former vice president. Hunter Biden has said that his father, President Joe Biden, has seen his prostate cancer spread into his bones. The statement was offered without elaboration on treatment or prognosis, simply noting the progression of the disease. A legal debate is simmering over whether former presidential advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci can invoke the Fifth Amendment's protection against self-incrimination, or whether a presidential pardon might affect that right. Chief Legal Affairs correspondent Adam Liptak has explained the nuances in a video that accompanies the newsletter, outlining the arguments on both sides without taking a position. Shifting to Asia, Taiwan is taking steps to deter a possible Chinese invasion by building fleets of attack drones and unmanned boats. Inspired by the battlefield successes seen in Ukraine, Taiwanese commanders described the strategy as creating a hellscape, an overwhelming barrage of drones, missiles, and artillery designed to make any amphibious assault so risky that Chinese leaders would think twice before attempting it. The goal is to use these forces to locate and attack incoming Chinese units, relying on Taiwanese troops trained to move quickly before China can strike. Climate change is also reshaping wildlife patterns farther north. As the Arctic warms, Canada's national symbol, the beaver, is moving into new territories. In northern Quebec, beavers are turning streams into lakes near the village of Omiujak, disrupting local ecosystems as they dam rivers and create ponds. The article describes a crew of buck-toothed, paddle-like mammals reshaping the landscape, evading traditional Inuit hunters and altering migration routes for other species that depend on those waterways. Back in Texas, a natural gas-burning power plant planned to support a massive Amazon data center has drawn concern because it could become the United States' largest single source of climate pollution. Amazon confirmed it is investing in the plant as part of its effort to secure enough electricity for its data center ambitions, which are driven by surging demand for artificial intelligence services. A company spokeswoman said the planned facility in Pecos County would be powered by new on-site generation that won't raise electricity costs for Texas families, though environmental analysts warn about the potential scale of emissions. A concerning health outbreak has emerged along the Gulf Coast. Officials in Louisiana reported that 5 residents died this year after being infected with Vibrio vulnificus, a flesh-eating bacterium that thrives in warm, brackish water. 2 additional fatalities were recorded in Florida. Infections typically occur when an open wound comes into contact with seawater or when someone consumes undercooked shellfish, especially oysters. All of the Louisiana cases were linked to wounds exposed to seawater, and several others were hospitalized. In the opinion pages, Ross Douthat reflects on the role of a columnist's worldview. He notes that when he joined the New York Times 17 years ago, Barack Obama was enjoying the popularity of his first term, and Douthat's own antagonistic perspective was largely defined by the elite consensus of the early Obama era, a mostly left-of-center view that also included Silicon Valley moguls, centrist politicians in the Michael Bloomberg mold, and portions of the Republican establishment. He writes that over time the distinction between good and bad has blurred, and this piece marks his final column before departing to join the CBS News program, 60 Minutes, as a correspondent. Countering that narrative, Tressie McMillan Cottom argues that progressives have not yet knocked out Democratic moderates in American politics. She acknowledges recent left-leaning victories in places like Michigan and Kansas but points out that many moderate Democrats also won their races, some with substantial financial backing and others running at a financial disadvantage. Her column suggests that the picture is more nuanced than a simple socialist takeover. Moving to a craft spotlight, we meet Austin Phillips, described as one of the last full-time ventriloquist puppet makers in America. Working from a studio in Maine, Phillips combines mechanics, painting, and performance to create one-of-a-kind characters. In his cluttered workshop, a puppet lies face down on a table with its head cut open, revealing a delicate anatomy of brass rods, hinges, and levers. Though motionless at rest like a sleeping figure, each puppet is engineered to turn its head, blink, crack a wry smile, and part its lips to speak, with every movement carefully directed. From the southern hemisphere comes a tale of daring rescue. An Australian flight crew braved sub-freezing temperatures, shifting weather conditions, and almost constant darkness to evacuate a U.S. national from Antarctica. The mission, conducted by the Australian Antarctic Division and the aviation company Skytraders, took place in the middle of winter in the southern hemisphere, a period marked by extreme cold, persistent night, and severe weather. The crew flew about 5 hours from southern Australia to reach the individual in need of urgent medical evacuation. A cultural trend has been given a playful label, hobbyamori. The piece suggests that, burned out with traditional dating, more people are finding fulfillment by filling their calendars with personal passions, whether that's building model trains, gardening, cooking, or any other pastime that brings them joy. It presents the idea as a modern take on relationship priorities, where shared hobbies can become central to a partnership. At the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., employees have noted the presence of quirky-looking mice and speculated about their origins. Some say the rodents came from Italy along with the marble used to construct the building, raising the question of whether the mice truly have that exotic backstory or if it's merely a colorful rumor. A personal loss was shared by Senator Chuck Grassley, who announced the death of his longtime cleaning companion, a tan Hoover vacuum named Beth. Grassley wrote on social media, "Goodbye Beth. UHV been a real workhorse." He noted that the vacuum had served his Iowa farmhouse for years, earning admirers across the political aisle, and that its demise appeared to stem from an electrical problem. He believes Beth to be 49 years old. In sports news, NFL legend Roger Craig revealed during his Pro Football Hall of Fame induction speech that he has been diagnosed with vascular dementia. The former San Francisco 49ers running back said his doctors believed the condition could be related to the concussions he sustained during his playing career. Craig delivered his remarks via a pre-recorded video, reflecting on how football gave him opportunities beyond imagination while also acknowledging the growing understanding of brain health. Cycling fans have been following the Tour de France Femmes, which concluded with a dramatic finale. Demi Vollering won the penultimate stage, seizing the yellow jersey from Kasia Niewiadoma-Finney and setting up a tense final showdown. Stage 8 was the longest day of racing at 175 kilometers, running from Sisteron to Nice, and featured a profile that limited general classification action early on but included several short climbs later in the route. In baseball, the New York Yankees released a farewell letter from Tommy John, the former pitcher whose elbow surgery revolutionized the sport. Now 83, John noted he has been dealing with health issues but expressed gratitude to the Yankees organization and the Steinbrenner family for giving him the chance to say goodbye to everyone who followed him throughout his 26-year career. He thanked his friends and fans, closing the letter with a sincere note of appreciation. Our book of the week is Sherry Lapina's Getting Away with Murder, billed as a perfect late summer thriller. The novel opens with a man pushed off the deck of his own sailboat, aptly named Fortune Seeker. The brother stands to inherit millions enough to let him keep the Brooklyn brownstone he has lovingly renovated with his wife, but as the pair breathe a sigh of relief, they realize someone is onto them. Lapina drops readers into a house of cards, then lets the walls fold one stressful, terrible decision at a time, exploring who is sending threatening texts and who is watching their every move. We close with a candid moment from the interview series. Bluegrass guitarist Billy Strings shared, "There's this little devil on my shoulder that tells me I don't deserve any of this, and thinks that I should be in some little trailer somewhere addicted to drugs, not a penny to my name. So it does feel like I'm playing for my survival." He spoke with David Marchese about his difficult upbringing, his discovery of music, and his journey into fatherhood. Before we sign off, a few quick recommendations from the morning. For road trip enthusiasts, the newsletter highlights 11 gifts to set the right tone for the open road, after testing more than 600 sets of wireless earbuds to narrow down the best 4. It also advises skipping the e-stroller, noting it's an appealing idea but unnecessary, and suggests carrying your belongings in a duffel bag, with 4 options described as pretty close to perfect. On the culinary front, Emily Weinstein, editor-in-chief of NYT Cooking, offers a virtually mess-free grilling method for fish that yields tender flesh with crisp skin and nothing stuck to the grates. While written for salmon, the technique works equally well for red snapper, halibut, or sea bass. This week you might also try one-pot zucchini basil pasta, spicy shrimp masala, or pork tenderloin with corn, peaches, and lime. Finally, it's time to play. Yesterday's spelling bee pangram was multilevel. You can take this week's flashback quiz, which asks you to place 8 historical events, including the Pony Express, the debut of the crossword, and the creation of Scotland Yard, in chronological order. And of course, there are today's mini crossword, Wordle, crossplay, connections, and strands waiting for your attention. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with the Times. That's your briefing for August 9, 2026. We'll be back tomorrow with more news. Have a great day.